Hey everyone, welcome to my garden. It's been a while since I've done a garden tour. It has been a chilly, rainy spring. So it's taken a while for things to kind of pop up and get going here. And it's also been very windy where I'm at in the Midwest. So it's been hard to get out and film a video. And it is still windy today. So hopefully the wind won't make it too difficult to hear what I'm saying or notice what's going on. But I wanted to get out here because things are finally starting to pop. We've got daffodils in bloom, and a lot of other things. Just kind of things are right there. It's like that very exciting time of year where you know the weather is just about to turn and everything's going to be in full swing here soon. But I wanted to take a mindful garden walk. If you haven't seen some of my earlier videos, the reason I title my videos not just a garden tour but a mindful garden walk or garden therapy is because I really want to encourage everyone to get out into their green spaces. Research shows that being in green space, whether that's a park, your yard, just an area with lots of trees or plants, even if you just have potted plants on a porch, being outside and being in nature and experiencing it in a mindful way is really, really beneficial, and can really be a therapeutic tool. So it's good for our mental health and it's also good for our physical health. There's actually a lot of research on this and research continues. I just read an article recently that cities with more trees or neighborhoods with more trees lower the cost of healthcare in that area, because being around greenery and having green things to look at actually has a positive impact on our blood pressure, our heart health, blood sugar, recovery time if we do get ill or have some kind of a procedure done. So anyway, that's a long way of saying what I like to do is model for you how you can be mindful in your own green space, whether that's your garden or some other place, a forest preserve, a park, whatever. So when I say that I am taking a mindful garden walk, what I mean is I don't really have a specific agenda. I'm just kind of walking around and seeing what I observe. So I'm using all of my senses, what I hear, smell, see, what I can touch, sometimes what I can taste if I'm in the vegetable garden, and really just observing what's going on and just trying to be in the moment. So that's what I'm going to do. So we're just going to walk around and see what there is to see, because I don't have a specific agenda. So let's get going. I'm going to start on the south side of my house and then I'll sort of go around to the other side. So I've had the camera pointed at these daffodils. And I've been really lucky because when we moved into this house, there were a lot of things planted already. So all of these daffodils were here when we moved in, and it's just been really nice in the spring to kind of be surprised by all these daffodils that come up every year. I've noticed that tulips they are so close. We're not quite there yet, but they're they're almost ready. This is kind of a little woodland area I have under these pine trees, and that's a maple tree that will leaf out and create a lot of shade. But before that happens, we have more tulips that are so close. And then we have these really cute, I want to say they're either trout lilies or dogtooth violets. Are those the same thing? I can't remember. I think they're trout lilies because of if you look at the patterns on the leaves. But they have these really cute little nodding blooms, and these aren't open yet, and I don't see any that are open, but they do open up and kind of peel back. But these are a really great native spring blooming plant in a nice little ground cover. I also have this is a bleeding heart plant that is just started coming up. It's not quite ready to bloom yet. I have several of those kind of dotted around. Oh, here's a big patch. They're getting close. This was also here when we moved in. And I looked it up, I want to say last year, and I think it's lungwort, but I would have to double check. It's another just kind of like spring ephemeral. It blooms early and then it just kind of dies back and you don't see it the rest of the year. But it has, this one also has a really interesting pattern on the leaves and some pretty flowers. We also have mayapple, which kind of look like little mini palm trees or little mini umbrellas almost. These are actually a native plant as well. And oh, they're not blooming yet. There's a tiny little flower at the base of these when they bloom. But this is another native plant that you kind of find in a shady, forested area. And they're actually very beneficial because, oh, here we go. Oh, it's not blooming yet. These are just really important for pollinators that are just waking up from winter. It's a nice little food source for them. And they just look cute. I think they're fun. So we have several different types of daffodil. I have no idea what they're called, but we have these sort of traditional buttery yellow daffodil, and then we have a few different other varieties with just some different color variations, and I think these are so cool because they have this orange center and these creamy petals, and they all smell different. So that is something I encourage you to do when you're out and about. Smell all of the flowers because you will notice a subtle difference. Even though these are both daffodils, they do have a different smell. Some are a little bit more sweet. So I'm coming around the base of my maple tree. My dog is wondering what I'm doing. We also have this patch of trillium that we discovered was here when we moved in too. So I don't know where they came from. I don't know if they were purposely planted or just happened to kind of find their way here. But these also have a really neat leaf pattern. So that's kind of a theme I've noticed with some of these spring ephemeral type plants, is they have some really interesting leaves. But these will also bloom, and they're like almost like a maroon deep red bloom in the center of each of these. And these are also a native plant. I also have, this is wild ginger, also a native plant, makes a really good ground cover for shade. So we have this sort of throughout this wooded patch. Really nice ground cover. The leaves get much bigger and they're sort of a heart shape. Just a nice plant to have. Have some geranium flowers looking really green but not ready to bloom yet. Hostas are just starting to poke their heads up. These rhododendron shrubs were also here when we moved in, and they are so pretty. So these are one of the first things to bloom in my yard. And even when they're not in bloom, the leaves are really nice. But that is a nice kind of breath of fresh air in the spring when you're waiting for some color, anything. The flowers are very delicate. And I noticed yesterday was a little bit sunnier. There were some bumblebees checking these out. So, not a native plant in my area, but really, really pretty, nice early bloomer. another smaller one here. Alright, I'm going to pause and bring you around to the north side of my house. Alright, so I wanted to show you this just because I think it's kind of funny. So, well, at first I was mad about it, but now I think it's funny. I had this grand plan where I filled all of these up with tulip bulbs, and I was like, in the spring, I'm gonna have this beautiful tulip display in my containers, and I'm gonna be able to move them around and arrange them so it looks really pretty. And I kept them covered for as long as I could, and then when they started to kind of sprout a little bit, I brought them out, and I thought for sure the squirrels would not want to eat tulips that have already sprouted, but the squirrels don't care. They dug up like 3/4 of the bulbs that I had in here, and I would take those out and recover it, and then they would come back and dig them up again. So I have just a couple of, this one, it looks like a squirrel bit the bloom off of the tulip. I don't know why they would do that. I did not think they ate the actual flower part. So it is what it is. I'm gonna have to think about what I want to do next year to keep the squirrels out of my tulip bulbs. So there you go. Let's see. So this is a flower bed on the north side of my house. Things are just kind of slowly waking up in here. The catmint does really, really well in my yard. So that has really started to get going. But otherwise, not a whole lot going on yet. Some really small signs of life here and there. But I'm going to, hold on. I'll go this way. I do have a magnolia tree that you can see the 2 stumps here. It was really big, but sadly it had started to rot, and then it came down in a windstorm that we had last summer. Sorry, my dog is barking at pedestrians because she likes to terrorize the neighborhood. But so it sent up a bunch of suckers, and I thought, what if I tried to keep some of them and regrow the tree? I don't know if that's good to do or not, but I thought I would experiment a little bit, and it has started to bloom. So I have these really pretty magnolia blooms right now. I don't know if I will keep it because it doesn't look great, and honestly it's a lot of work to keep pruning back these suckers all summer, so I'm not sure what I want to do in this area. But these blooms are so pretty, and they're huge. I mean, that's the size of my palm, and they're not even fully open yet. They do have a light smell. More plants just starting to wake up in couple of my flower beds. I don't see any bugs out today. There were a couple of days where it was sunny and the bees had started to wake up and they were buzzing around looking for food. But today's chilly and cloudy, so I don't see much going on. I have a couple of forsythia shrubs that I'm hoping will get really big and kind of form a little bit of a privacy. Got some nice yellow blooms. And then we have more daffodils. Some of these are double blooms. So we have the daffodils that have the open center with the cup. And then I have a couple of varieties that are these double blooms. And these are really pretty too. Here's one with like a light butter yellow center. And these have a darker, almost orange center. Another patch over here. Where I have these white double bloomed daffodils. I don't know if you can hear too, the birds have just been really active the past couple of weeks. So I have these really nice mature pines in my yard, and they're home to a lot of birds. So that's always a welcome sight and sound in spring, to just kind of sit and listen to the birds. We haven't done much in the vegetable patch up to this point. We have planted lettuce, kale, and cabbage. So still pretty tiny, but they're looking healthy, so that's good. We also have some beets in here that look okay, but they haven't grown much. So we'll see. The rest, we still have some cleanup to do. It's just been so cold and windy and rainy that we're just kind of waiting. We have a lot of things started in our house, but we haven't been able to set them out yet because it's been so cold. We also have a little asparagus patch, and we do have some asparagus coming up. Which we are very excited about because we've been waiting. We planted these our first year when we moved into this house about 5 years ago, and we haven't really been able to harvest the asparagus yet because you're supposed to let it get established. So this might be the first year we can actually have a good harvest of asparagus. I think that's where I'm going to leave off for today. I just wanted to let you guys have a peek of what is going on in my garden, and also just kind of model some mindful garden walking. So hopefully that encourages you to get out into your green space, whether that's your yard, forest preserve, local park, and just kind of take a look at what's going on and what looks different, what looks new, what's in bloom, what animals are around. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put those below. I do try to answer those when I get them. And like and subscribe if you want to see more garden tour videos.